Have you ever made New Year's resolutions that you didn't stick to? You make all these New Year's resolutions, but come end of January, you forget about it. I want to talk to you about 10 financial resolutions that you need to make for 2026 that are going to guarantee that you're going to stick with them without fretting. And you can ask, Maggie, it's October. Why are you talking about New Year's resolutions in October? Because I've realized a lot of people, they make hasty decisions or they start making financial decisions for that year that you're working on instead of like preparing ahead of time. It's October, fine, but guess what? Coming next month, you're gonna start thinking about Thanksgiving. You're gonna start thinking about Black Friday. You're gonna start thinking about what am I gonna be doing for Christmas? Whom am I be buying gifts for? But you're not gonna be thinking about 2026. And so in today's video, I just wanna make sure that you prepare now before 2026 gets here so that you can plan your year ahead of time and you're going to be ahead of a lot of people. So number one is making sure, even as all these holidays and all these things that are coming up, that you have created a zero budget for yourself for the next coming year. What do I mean by a zero budget? Get everything, every single penny that you're making accounted for, because we don't have an income problem. We know how to make money, but it's how we spend our money. Because most of the time we don't know how to tell our money where to go, but things usually tell us where our money should go. But when we tell our money where to go, when we have already allocated all our funds, then we're not worried about, am I going to be tempted to buy things that I don't need to buy? So allocate, make sure that in 2026, if you're struggling right now financially, if you want to really get ahead, make sure you make up your mind and say, in 2026, I want to have a clear budget. I wanted to set my money right, and I'm going to be creating a zero budget where every single penny that you're bringing is allocated. Number two is creating an emergency fund. A lot of us, or a lot of people, get into trouble because things happen and then we're not ready. So make a decision right now that 2026, that when 2026 comes, this is the year that you're going to start creating an emergency fund. And I know, I don't even like to call it an emergency fund because it's almost like you're calling an emergency fund, but it's good to have that money set aside, that if something happens, if you need a car repair, if you need a tire goes out, if you own a home, if a water heater goes off, if something happens and you don't have money, then you are going to use credit cards so that you are not ready to use. So make sure that in 2026, make it a goal for yourself that you're going to start creating an emergency fund. Start with a simple emergency fund. And I know I have talked about this before. Start with maybe, even if it's 500, if you're not in a position to do the 3 to 6 months that is always recommended. Start with 500. When you create that 500, for me, and the way I tell a lot of people is that it's a start, because let's say you don't have an emergency or situation in the next 6 months. So just set that 500 apart and then you can be able to have it. And then as you create that discipline, then you go adding it, then you go to 1,000. So then when you have that confidence of 1,000, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I have been able to put aside $1,000. So if I can do 1,000, I can do a whole month of my expenses. And then when you do a whole month of your expenses, then you do 2 months, then you do 3 months, and then you do for the 4 months. And then within no time, you're going to be so motivated, and you'll be able to create yourself a 3 to 6 months or even a year of your expenses. Because with these days, as I think I've spoken about it in another video, the jobs that we have, it's not guaranteed, and we just have to get prepared and be able to have something if anything happens to our finances. Number 3 is paying off the high interest debts. I know a lot of people right now that are in high interest credit card debts, 32%, 29%, high interest. Make sure, because when we're paying this interest, we're giving our hard-earned money to the banks. So make sure that, set a goal. And that's, I'm going to keep insisting. We're in October. Make a goal that 2026 is the year that you're going to be credit card free. And I don't even care whether it's you have that credit card for points, because sometimes we are lured into credit cards because of points and we get into debt because of that. And there's nothing wrong with points. I love points and I love traveling for free. I love no shame here. I use my JetBlue card and I get a lot of points. But I use it strategically, because what I do, like, instead of the money that I go for grocery with, I use my credit card. But because my money is already allocated for groceries, I use that money and then pay my card right away. But then I'm also earning points. So don't be tricked to stay in debt thinking that, oh, I need points, I need this high cards, for the starters, the cards that you're paying $600 a year, and you're not even getting the benefits of those cards, and maybe you're paying 30% on those cards. Make it a goal that 2026 is going to be your year that you're gonna pay these credit cards. Look at your credit cards. How many credit cards do you have? How much interest are you paying? Because sometimes we're paying this interest and sometimes you don't even know what you're paying. Because what I find is, like, a lot of people just get their bills, they pay, and they just paying the minimum. Oh, I have $50 due, but you're not even looking to see how much you're paying in interest. So if you take time before the end of the year, look at your credit cards. How much do you owe? What are you paying on the interest? And if you have several cards, for me, the high interest debt is the one that is eating up all your money. So make sure that 2026 is the year that you pay off those high interest cards. Number 4 is save at least 20% of your income. I know you're like, Maggie, how am I going to be able to save 20% of your income? The reason I'm saying this is the reason I'm doing this video it's October 2025, and the reason I'm doing it now is that so that you can be able to look at your finances before the year 2026. Because if we don't have the discipline to start saving or investing our money like 20%, and I say before, most of the time we don't have an income problem. We have a problem of allocating our money or being able to know how to spend our money. So make sure that you are putting at least 20% of your income into savings. And number 5 is consistently investing. And it's almost like the savings, but make sure that you are at least starting to invest in yourself in 2025. Because I know, like, a lot of times, let's say we're so caught up with paying off debt, we are so caught up with doing all these things, but yet we are not putting something aside for our future self. So make sure that 2020, if you're not, I don't even know how I can insist this, if you're not investing consistently, make sure that 2026 is the year that you start. And you're like, how do I do that, Maggie? The thing is, if you don't start investing now, then when? And the sooner you start, the sooner that your money is going to start growing for you. And even if it's starting small, get a dividend account, go and look at the ETFs, the dividends that are paying good dividends, and see whether you can be able to look at that and be able to invest in that. And as I said again, start small. Why am I talking about starting small? The reason I'm talking about starting small is about the discipline. It's about putting in the reps. Because if you can invest $10, like, let's say, even if it's for 3 months, and then bring it up to 25, and I'm just giving this, I'm not even saying 25 because I'm sure maybe $25 is not going to do much, but it's about the discipline. It's about putting in the reps. Because have you ever heard about, where, like, it takes at least 21 days to start a new habit? So if we can do that, maybe even if for 30 days, can you imagine in a whole year where you could be? So start that. Number 6 is creating multiple streams of income. It is say that I've had people say that having one income is so close to having none, because if something happens to your income, then what? So create different multiple streams of income. Write an ebook. Are you good at tutoring? Are you good at baking? Maybe you're good in math. Maybe you can tutor a student. Something. The reason I'm saying, multiple stream of income, and it's just adding something to your regular income, is so that at least if you have to pay these debts that you have, if you have to start saving the 20%, if you have to start putting money in for investment, you your income might not be able to be covering what all these things are calling for, but maybe in the 2026 you can say, oh, okay, I want to do all these things, but the income that I have is not able to do that. Maybe I can add a side job. Let's say you're a nurse like me, though I'm not working right now. So maybe you're a nurse and maybe you can just say, oh, maybe I can start a per diem job somewhere and I can be working maybe 1 day a week. That's an extra amount of money that you could be going into your saving. And maybe you tell yourself that if I have to bring in this extra income, maybe that money is going directly to pay my debt, or maybe that money is going directly to my savings. Number 7 is master the art of saying no. What do I mean by that? What I mean by no is there is so much marketing and you're going to start seeing it. We're in October. They're already starting things, putting things out there for the holidays. There's going to be all these, maybe the decorations that you need for Christmas. There's all these things, the shoppings, the holidays. There's going to be all this, even the Black Friday. But if you literally don't need the things that we're being marketed for, master the art of saying no and tell yourself, my future is better than spending the amount of money that I'm going to be spending on the things that maybe they're not even necessary, but it's because it's on sale, quote unquote. I need to get it, because you tell yourself that you're saving money. And I think I've mentioned this before. And one day when I realized, like, this marketing that we're thinking that we are saving money, if you are not already planning to buy that thing, let's say you're telling yourself, this jacket is on sale, it was $100 and it's on sale for $50. I saved money. No, you didn't. The $50 you are not even planning to use to buy a jacket, but you just spent $50 that you were not planning to spend, so you didn't save money at all. So master the art of saying no. Don't let all these holidays and all these things that are coming up, the Black Friday, the sales, Cyber Monday, all these things that are coming up, do not let them, put you into a position that come January, you're going to start crying and start feeling like, oh my goodness, what did I do? And I'm not the kind of person who is going to preach about denying yourself. If you have to buy something, this is not where this comes in, planning your year ahead. If you had planned for it, then go for it. And this is where now, even as you're planning your 2026 finances, plan for the next year. If there's any birthdays, let's say if you do Christmas, if you give people gifts, if you need to buy something that you think, okay, I'm going to look to see whether it's on sale on Black Friday, then by all means do that. But it is important to have it planned. But if you haven't planned for it, master the art of saying no. Number 8 is educate yourself about money. This is so important because I feel like, again, as we all know, schools do not teach us about money. Schools are not teaching our children about money. We don't have any education about money anywhere. So make sure in 2026, that's the year you start educating yourself about money. And maybe take one thing at a time. Maybe you need to educate yourself about investment. Maybe it's about real estate. I don't know what you love, or if you want to invest, start educating yourself about basics of money. Because as I said before, we don't have an income problem. Sometimes we have made all this money, but because we don't have the education or the knowledge about how to invest, about how to manage our monies, then all this money, we think we don't have a lot of money, but yet the amount of money that even we have come about for all these years since we started working, it's so much money. But if somebody asks us, how much do you have saved since you started working? Maybe you started working at 16 and right now you're 50, or maybe you're 30 and you started working a couple years ago. How much do you have accumulated? Maybe you don't even have anything. And it's not because you're not working, but it's because you didn't have financial education. So financial education is so important. And I think I'm going to be doing a video on how to educate our children about money. So make sure you educate yourself about that because it is so key. Number 9 is protecting your wealth, or the money that you're working so hard for. So this is, again, I know it's October, but this is the best time to start reviewing your insurances. Do you have enough insurance? your taxes. Are you paying a lot of taxes? Is too many taxes? Is there anything that you need to change before the year ends? Because this is the best time, because by the end of the year, this is where you're allowed maybe to change your health insurance at work. This is a year where you're able to do a lot of things. So make sure at the end of this year, before you get busy, as I said, with the holidays and all that's coming up, make sure you're looking at your insurance. Make sure you're looking to protect all the money that you're working or you're planning to make. Number 10 is reflecting and adjusting regularly. You know, when we have a financial plan, it's not just a one done, like you do your financial plan for the year and it's done. So make sure that you have dates with yourself. Maybe it's every month, end of the month, and looking to see how am I doing financially. Because a lot of us, we work so hard, we have money plans and all that, but then we say we want to do this next year, but then we don't go back and review what we say that we're going to do. So make sure that at the end of every month, or maybe it's every quarter, every 3 months, look at your finances or your financial goal and see, where am I financially? I had said that I want to do A, B, C. I wanted to pay off these credit cards within 3 months. How am I progressing? You know, because if you definitely don't do this regularly, then it's another thing that you've already put out there for the year, but then that you're not working it, and then you're repeating the same year over and over and over again. Then you're not progressing financially, and then you find yourself maybe 5 to 10 years, you're still at the same place, you're making more money, and you're like, what am I missing? But because maybe you're not reviewing your financial plan, you're not reviewing your financial goal. So make a date with yourself. If you're married, plan with your husband, you know, when can we be reviewing, you know, maybe you have a financial goal together. When can we plan to have our financial meetings? If you're single, make sure that you are putting yourself on a date. Go take yourself on a date and review your finances and say, where am I? What have I done? You know, I wanted to start putting 20% into savings. Even if it's not 20%, I wanted to put 5%. Where am I? Am I on track? Because the key, if we start tracking if we start doing these things, it's like you're increasing every single time that you do this. It's a 1% increase. And that's what separates most of us with the wealthy, because the wealthy master these things, and they, no matter even if it's not perfect, they go getting better by 1%, by 1%, by 1%. What if you got better by 1% or 2% for 3 months? Then the next three months, you're better than the past 3 months. Then the next 3 months, you're better than the past 6 months. Can you see how this can be able to really, really change your financial situation? So make sure that you are going on a date with yourself. So let me know, which of these 10 financial goals for 2026 are you going to be working on? And I want to hear from you. Let me know. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like and share. And I'll see you in my next video.